Hi, Luke from Korg here at Bop DJ, and we're looking at the Wavestate. It's our brand new synth launched this year, and it's a pretty special one. It's based on the technology from the original Wavestation, building on that heritage and then adding in some extra real-time controllers, shrinking its size a little bit so it's more desktop friendly. And yeah, let's have a listen. So as you can hear, lots going on there, incredibly complex. That's because we're using wave sequencing there. We've got 4 different layers, A, B, C and D. You can stack those layers together, or you can split them over the keyboard into different areas. I'm going to select another sound now and just explain to you a little bit more about this wave sequencing. So the way that the Wavestation did it is very similar to this, but what we've done is we've extrapolated all of that different information into different lanes here. You can see them on the screen. They've each got their own dedicated button, and when you press those buttons you can follow the pattern along these steps. So for instance, on this one, if we select pitch, you can see it's playing through, turning around, going back on itself. You've got different loop modes, so this one's obviously going forward and back. So if I want to see information about an individual step, whether it's a sample or the pitch in this case, just touch it. You can see that step 2 there is transposed up 2 semitones or 3 semitones for more of a minor feel, 4 semitones for more of a major feel. And as you can hear there, I've got it split so you can play a different sound completely to what's going on down the bottom, or they can overlap these zones as well, the different layers. So back into my next sound. So I'm navigating using this set list here, which is great. So you can save all your favourite sounds in there. You've got 16, but you've also got 4 banks of them, so 64 in total. But you can also select your sounds like this, or you can go across a page and then do it by category as well. So you've got lots of options the way that you can select your sounds. But the great thing about having your set list is if you're playing live or you're in the studio, you can just bang all your favourite sounds in there really quickly. So this one here, I'm going to show these modulation knobs. So this is something extra to what you had on the original Wavestation from the 90s, and it enables you to manipulate the sound live. So you can have a sound playing like this. And then start doing some interesting things. The sound like changing the gate, making it super short, or the shape. And these are assignable as well. One thing that made the original Wavestation great were its pads, and they weren't just static, warm sounding pads, which Korg are also famous for. You also got some really nice evolving pads. Just by holding down a chord, you can get some interesting things happening. You can also watch it on the screen as it flicks across to the next sample. You can hear them coming in. As well as your real-time controls via the knobs, you've also got a modulation wheel, which is really cool for adding even more animation to your sound. Get some amazing sonic effects like that, for instance. You can also do regular synth sounds really well. And what's cool is you've got perfect patch remain, which means you can play a sound, change sound, and re-trigger the new sounds, and everything's completely smooth. I've added in the fourth layer there, you can hear, layer D being a drum loop. You can also watch the pattern, so on layer D I've pressed my sample lane, and now you can see it's just alternating between this kick and snare sample. And I can touch that, change the kick, do the same thing for the snare. And of course it doesn't have to be a snare, it can be anything. So it just shows you the depth you can go into with these wave sequences and the different variety you can get with them. You've got a joystick over here as well as a controller. So this is retained from the original wave station. You can see it says A, B, C and D. That relates to the 4 layers here. So I can just go through by using the lever here to kind of crossfade between the different layers, or bring it to the middle and then you'll hear all of them together. So there we're hearing all of them, but I can then just isolate individual ones. Or bring it back together. Or another way to do that is just to use the layers, so I can just double tap to turn them all off. And I can just audition what's going on with them. And whichever one you're pressing, that's the one you're editing at that time. What I love about the Wavestate as well is it has some great regular type sounds in, like sampled sounds, like this Celeste. But if you hold it and then start manipulating it, you can turn it into something completely different. So it's great for making big soundscapes. Like I said before, you can split the keyboard as well, so you can have something like this. And then a completely different sound on the right. I found this brass sound in here which I really like as well. So again, it's a great sound, but underlying it's got some other stuff going on. Then if you hold the sound, it will develop. You can hear some other stuff coming in, like the choir. So you heard me using the octave shift there, so I can easily get to a range which is outside this keyboard. And of course, you can plug in a MIDI keyboard as well. So if you want a bigger range, you can plug in any MIDI keyboard and then you'll have potentially more notes, even up to 88 notes at your disposal. Some really nice choir sounds as well. So it's a really nice sound, but it's also got that really underlying kind of rhythmic motion to it as well, which really brings it to life. We've got an arpeggiator built in as well, has its own dedicated button there. You can add even more motion to your pattern if you want to. Shift will latch it, so you can start tweaking it out. And of course you can see you've got all your regular parameters as you would expect to see in an arpeggiator. Different patterns, different resolutions, gate time, swing and so on. Some of the sounds are like loads of different versions of the same kind of sound. So for instance, this is called mega bass, so it's synth basses. Then you can use sample knob to go through lots of different samples. See them stepping through there on the screen. Then each of these layers has its own complete synth architecture. So you've got filters and you've got loads of different types based on some of our classic synths like the Poly 6, MS-20, and then the Wavestate has its own filters as well. Envelopes for multiple destinations, LFOs with multiple destinations, and some great effects as well. As you've heard, each layer has 3 different effects groups: pre-effects, mod effects and delays, and then you've also got a master reverb which you can put over the whole mix as well. See some of the sounds have hold in brackets, so if you just hold down the chord, you get some really interesting movement and things evolving as well. As well as much more complex patterns like this. Okay, so that is the Wavestate. So if you want to see any more information about this, go to Bop DJ's website, or of course you can visit one of their stores and visit their very friendly staff and have a demo in person. Go check it out.